the hate army
Big
troll.
It's the hate army,
bro.
Hate army.
Shout
that
out
guy.
to hate.
Good vibes to the
Shout
hate
out to
army.
hate.
Shout out to hate.
Shout out
Shout
for
out to
hate.
hate.
Shout out to hate.
Shout out for
Shout
hate.
out for hate.
Oh, hold on. Something just happened.
Hello.
Hold on.
Am I on?
You are, but I had a issue with my Discord. Hold on a second, because I think I've had streamer mode on, so it's not showing. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Hello?
Guys, I want you to know what's going on. This has not happened before. So I'm trying to open the video call with Joon, and Discord says, well, this is awkward. It has crashed. And I click reload, and then it just says, it's awkward. It crashed again. And it's doing it in a loop, and I don't know what's causing it. So I don't know what's going on. If I have to restart my PC or something, I've never seen this happen before. It's always just worked. And you saw I tested it right before and it was working with me, so I don't know why it's crashing like this. I might have to do audio only and see if that works, because when I'm trying to open the video call, that's when it's crashing. And I don't know if you could hear, but Joon was talking for a second. It was working, and then it stopped. So give me a second. Joon, I'm sure Joon is probably trying to wonder what's going on. He could probably hear here. I'm just going to try to figure this out and go from there. I have no clue. So let me mess around with it a little bit. I'll try restarting it a couple times. Close the Discord in Task Manager and hard reopen it. Okay, I'll try that. Let me do that. Hold on. I hope we don't have technical issues like we had with Craig. Craig had a million technical issues, and they were all on his end. Like, first his mic wasn't working at all. Then he got it working, but he had that noise cancellation crap on, so it wasn't picking up his voice, and it took us like 10 minutes to figure it out. I think Joon will be a little bit more professional than that, because Joon uses Discord to talk to people, so he probably understands how to use it. You know, typically when you're going to be on an interview, you prepare to be on the interview so all your shit works, not you show up at the interview and nothing works. You know, it's kind of like an air of professionalism, and I think that Joon has that, so I think we're going to be fine today. Just saying, in comparison to the previous interview, it's just giving me the same error over and over. I just hard closed it, reopened it, it's still doing it. So I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's never done that before. So I will let me text message Joon here and let him know. I'm probably going to have to do a whole restart. I don't know what's going on. How stupid. Hey, Joon, I'm having tons of technical issues here on my end. I don't know what happened. I'm going to try to restart my PC and get it working. It keeps crashing. Discord crashed 3 times in a row, so I'll try to get it going. I'll be right back. I had to talk to him on my phone. All right, let me try to restart, guys. So here's what's going to happen. The stream's going to go offline. I'm going to try to get everything else up and running again, which sucks. I have to do it like that. I don't know what happened. Hopefully it'll work. It works on my phone, obviously. It just doesn't want to work in the program. It's having problems. So, all right, I'll be right back, everybody. All right, people are saying they can see and hear us. Sheesh, what an ordeal. I'm sorry, everybody. I've never had this many issues before, of course. It's Friday the 13th, so that's why it's going to happen, of course. Discord would not work on my PC at all. Right now I'm on my gaming PC. Joon cannot see me, but we can see him. So thank you, Joon. I mean, obviously, with all these technical difficulties, really appreciate you doing it this way. Sorry that you can't see me, and I'm going to have to fix this for future appearances. All right, so let's officially, I'm going to hit record here, and then we'll actually start this thing. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Thank you, Joon, for your patience. Really stupid thing. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's not a problem.
All right, here we go. All right, everyone. Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the Level 1 Podcast. My guest today is the internet documentarian on YouTube, Joon the King. Joon, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready for this podcast or whatever you got for me. Let's do it.
Excellent. What I really liked, people are saying Joon's audio is a little low. Oh, I can try to up that. Hold on, everybody. Sorry about that. Here we go. That's a little better. What I liked was that this time you went all out. Like in this documentary, you had all these graphics and things going on. Like I really liked how you had the virtual me, the Phil show, and all that going on. You had the virtual ring. Like you could tell that you went the extra mile and you basically did a lot of production cost on that. And I think people like that, like if you're gonna go all out and you're gonna have people doing a 4-hour documentary and you expect them to sit there and watch, they don't just want to see a bunch of facts and drama. They want to also have some other things added. And the fact that you talk to some people outside of just, hey, here's what happened, but having those interviews, the fact that you had those graphics, I think definitely added to the quality overall of the documentary. And people I think have received it pretty well. If anything, a lot of people have asked me, well, what do I think about the documentary? Okay, and I'll just give you my personal opinion. I think it's fair. I think that you touched upon pretty much everything that people expected you were going to touch upon, and it was all finally summarized into one like super video. It's all the drama arcs of my existence, things from before YouTube people didn't even know about, and everything. Not once in that documentary do I feel like you were trying to be like dogpiling on or being unfair to me. And I really appreciate that, because I do feel like there have been some documentarians out there that are kind of unfair. Like they'll try to over exaggerate or hyper focus on one part. You didn't really do that. You were just factually covering everything. Some people, I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. Some people have been nitpicky about certain parts of the doc. For example, some people about the PC. All right, this PC where this guy Mighty Furtado, he built me this PC, and when I arrived, it was partially not working as intended or as promised, and we got into a big scuff about it publicly, about the cost and everything. And a lot of people were like, "Why was that such a big deal? It's just a PC." And I think, at least, all right, from your perspective, just to ask you this, why do you feel that that was a key part of the story? This one situation about the PC that you even had him on and you interviewed him specifically.
It was just another example of like how you slighted a fan, right? It was just another like, and it was someone that I could interview, right? It was someone that I can get like that is still accessible to this day that can tell their story, and that is just to like, I guess, bring a voice to all the people you really I guess, slighted over the years. It was just one example, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that totally does make sense. Because listen, when I was watching this thing, I was publicly admitting, yeah, I made tons of mistakes. And the problem was in my early days, I had a temper and I basically would like act like I could do no wrong. Right. So if someone criticized me, instead of listening, I'd immediately shut it off and I'd be like, oh, no, I know better than you. I'm the big shot. I'm the big YouTuber. I'm the one who has a successful business. How dare you even say that I'm doing something wrong or whatever? And it really irked me, that people would do that. And then over the years, I've definitely learned to mellow out. And now I at least hope that people think that I've improved on that. And I'm not trying to just reach out, excuse me, and attack every person who's being negative towards me. But, particularly with this PC situation, this was one of the first times in my history that this was someone who had been an outspoken supporter of mine. Like you had said, they built a fan site for me and everything. And when this thing showed up, I really did feel like they kind of screwed me over. And quite honestly, I probably shouldn't have made a big deal about it. I should have just let it go. It's not a big deal, right? I'm the YouTuber. I'm the guy making the money. I could just get another PC if I'm really that bothered by it or whatever. But it got to me, and then I start talking about it, and then I misspeak, because what actually ended up happening is in the react to your documentary, someone had sent me the original video where I had ever brought this up, and we played it live on the stream. And in that original video, I had said, this PC is $1,600. Like I outright said that, and that was correct. Per your research, you confirmed it was a $1,600 PC. But because I'm so stupid, right? And I can't let it go, and I hyperfixate on it. And this guy keeps talking about it. I keep talking about it. The narrative changes to it's $3,000. I don't even know how that happened. Like, I don't even know where that confusion happened, that the number got inflated. So it's right that you would call me out on that. And I'm glad that you did. But, when there's certain things in the documentary that were kind of hyper-focused on those moments, some people were like, oh, I wonder why particularly this or that was such a long segment. Like the other one, the big one that people actually want me to ask you about is when you started talking about VTubers. Because people are like, it seems out of place. No one really thought that a VTuber thing was a big deal. What was your methodology with the VTuber segment? How did that come about?
Well, Phil, you're like, this is a very long question. You're adding a lot, so I guess I have
Oh,
to
go
go,
ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. So the $3,000, I believe, came from a comment, and Mighty Furtado, I'm pretty sure, has that comment on his Twitter that where you stated it was $3,000 that you said, right? The VTuber segment too was kind of like to show you like how you are still notable even like today because VTubers are like, I guess, uniquely more recent. You know what I mean? They're a very
Mm.
new form of content, yet they still talk about you. And surprisingly, that was like one of the more viewed segments of the video was the VTuber segment. So I think it was a good idea to add them too. It was just like a bit of fun, even though it was more like one way. I think it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it took me for a loop. There's things in your documentary I didn't even know about. Like I had no idea that VTubers had like a fixation on me. Um, I didn't know about the search engine to search all my videos for keywords to find how many times I said so. That's so wild to me that my detractors actually went out of their way to fish the transcripts for certain words and things. Well, I mean, that must have been a tremendous help for you with the documentary, right?
Oh no, yeah, no, it was great seeing all the trans words and whatever. It's a really nice tool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I just want to make this clear before, because I just wanted to get my documentary stuff up front out of the way before I talk to you about your own, stuff going on. I just want to let you know, I have absolutely no ill will towards you whatsoever. Really don't have much or any issue with the documentary. There was a few things here or there that were slightly off. We talked day one, we talked a little bit about it behind the scenes about one particular thing. Nothing there was a big deal. Everything there I was expecting, and quite frankly, since I knew this was coming, I was always planning to fess up to the WWE Champions account when I was live reacting to your documentary. I knew you were going to cover it so in depth that there was no way I was going to be able to be like, lie about it and weasel my way out of it. You were going to pin me to the wall on that, right? So that's why I did it during the documentary. What are your thoughts on that? That the whole arc basically ends with me reacting and admitting it.
I don't know. Like the thing is with that is it was kind of like an open secret where everyone knew that you were that account, right? Pretty much everyone I talked to, it's like, oh yeah, like even I knew, like my personal belief was you were always like down from the rafters. So for you to admit it, I'm like, okay, well, at least things can move forward a bit and people can focus on something else. I think it's I guess cool for the arc, if that was your question.
Right. Um, in a lot of ways, it was kind of almost cathartic for me to watch this thing because it allowed me to see all my problems and the things that I've done wrong and to fess up to them and apologize for them and to let my audience know, this isn't who I want to be. This is crazy. How many people can say they've had a 4-hour documentary made about them on the internet that at any moment you could open it up and see all the things you messed up in the last, 16 to 20 years of your life, right? But I feel like the way you did it, because the way you do your documentaries it's not malicious, and that's a good thing, I feel, and I respect you for that. There's other documentarians out there, they're literally going for the jugular. They're trying to make you look like more of a villain for drama purposes, and I don't think you did that. And I respect you for that. And also, I'll say this: I have an issue with documentarians who they'll do the doc, but then they want to create an endless feed of content, right? And I'm going to call someone out, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, and I'd like to have your opinion on it. So Turkey Tom did a documentary about me late last year, okay? And it was called 10 Years of Failure. And of course, I have issue with that title, whatever. That's not the problem. The problem was after it came out, he said he wanted to interview me. But come to find out, the whole thing was an attempt for him to get me on the lolcow podcast. And he even said publicly, oh, this is a way to milk Phil for content and to keep milking him and getting more out of him. That I'm not cool with.
What I mean, Phil, I don't know like where to start. Like, I feel like that title is accurate too. What was incorrect about Tom's video?
Oh,
Like,
nothing. I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with
oh,
this video at all. I'm saying the fact that his intention was to try to get my attention, to milk more content, and to basically turn me into a source of revenue. That's what he was basically saying he was trying to do, and that's what I wasn't cool with. Similar to Side Scrollers, where I had no issue with their original interview. It's the attempts to get tons of money and content out of someone after the fact when that was never really part of the upfront agreement. That's where I have issue with people. And I don't think that wasn't your attempt here with this documentary at all.
well, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, like, I don't know really where you're going with this because I feel you kind of do it the same. Like, you keep the drama rolling, and that's fine. That's like, I think, smart business. I
Mhm.
really just don't do that because I'm not like a personality. But I think on Tom's side, that if I was Tom, I would do the same. But I think even with like the crack stuff, right? You brought him back just to like insult him, and that is like drama too. You kept that kind of going the same way, if that makes sense.
Oh, Craig? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was on the show. No, to be honest, I didn't think that interview was going to go that way at all. Okay, I really didn't. Like, I thought what was going to happen was I was going to apologize to him for lying on his show, and he was going to apologize for the follow up where he basically made a lot of money for my detractors, and we were going to be cool. And that's not what happened. I mean, what happened, right? I had no interest in insulting the guy or anything. I mean, he told me to go fuck myself in that interview when I was being cordial. You know, I was just asking him questions, pressing him on some things I thought were unfair, and he's the one who escalated it first. Okay. But in your case, like you said, you're
Yeah.
not that kind of person who's going to be trying to escalate. You're not going to continuously make that content. I mean, at this point, you're probably on to the next 5 projects, right?
Well, that's like the difference. I don't think like I don't see that as an issue to try to escalate. I think drama kind of keeps like the internet alive. I mean, you yourself are like getting more into like the drama sphere, which I think is good for your channel. And I
Mhm.
I also like, I don't know, Phil. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? I think we kind of like see things a bit different here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's fine. You know, I don't think that we're ever going to see eye to eye on everything, right? But no, I just want to let you know I don't have any ill will towards you at all. I think it was a fair documentary. I think it actually helped me to grow, because I get to fess up the stuff that I had done, and you know, thank you for being fair is what I want to say up front. Okay, I'm just curious. Is this actually your full time occupation? Is this what you do for a living, or is it like a side thing? Because you get a lot of views, but it's hard to gauge like what kind of living you could make doing this. I'm just curious.
Yeah, this is like, I guess, my full-time job. This is what yeah, this is like my only line of work for right now.
Now, one that I know everyone wants me to ask you about. All right, the one that everyone is like the elephant in the room, the low tier god documentary. Okay, and what resulted from that for people who don't know. Joon did a documentary on Low Tier God many years ago, and it really rubbed Low Tier God the wrong way. He lashed out at Joon. He basically used the YouTube copyright system against him. He weaponized it, which is absolutely unacceptable and ridiculous. Um, I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about that documentary? Would you have done it any differently today, knowing what you know now about that guy? And what was the repercussions of him doing that? Like I know you had to make like a panic video about it and everything.
I wouldn't say it's a panic video. It was a video that like really covers the past 3 or 4 years of like the harassment, or I think it was two. I can't remember the exact amount. But the video, I think I would have changed some things. I think there might have been like some personal stuff that like I wanted to get like an overall picture of who this guy kind of was. But I don't know. I don't know what I really would have changed. Um, I don't know. Like, so I believe you also asked me about like the his reaction, right?
Yeah, right. I never would have thought someone would have done something like that. You know, I've been hit with false copyright strikes and stuff over the years for the dumbest reasons. And to see someone weaponize the system like that's to me like the ultimate underhanded thing to do, you know? This video here was from another channel doing exactly the same thing back in January 2022. I remember this particular day, someone had reached out to me in a very similar manner and said, we found a channel that is doing this, okay? I did the same thing. I did claims on them. And actually, in this case, with this person, after about a month or two, I said, all right, you know what? I think they learned their lesson. I think they learned their lesson. I think they learned their lesson.
I think they learned their lesson, and I retracted the takedown.
But as you can see, this channel no longer exists either. So I don't even know what it was. It's gone from YouTube. I've been hit with false copyright strikes and stuff over the years for the dumbest reasons. And to see someone weaponize the system like that's to me like the ultimate underhanded thing to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but I think he's like a genuine, like evil, like psychopath. He has like this
Wow.
community of people who really, promote him and such. And I think he's an evil person, but I think he is also entertaining. So like, I guess he has that value online. I'm pretty much just like distance myself. Like, I'll probably never do another video on him again unless he like doxes someone, because if I do another video, it's gonna be clear. Like my bias would be too tangible, I guess, right? Because there is that feud.
Well, right, and that's the thing with your documentaries. You are unbiased. You're coming in as an unbiased, person covering these people. And the fact that he lashed out maliciously with you, he abused the system, he doxed you, he did all this messed up stuff. How could you even cover him fairly in the future? I agree with you there. Like, if you were to do one, it would have to be like a drama video as opposed to an actual like objective covering of what he was doing. So, I just, publicly, I've already said about this guy. I've been talking about him recently too in my content. This guy's unhinged. The stuff he does doesn't even make any logical sense. He doesn't even play the game right. Like if you're gonna be a drama guy on YouTube, you got to go back and forth. You got to play ball. He doesn't even do that. And I don't know. So anyway, that's just crazy to me that he did that to you. And I would just, that's something I would never even think of, because someone made a documentary about me to hit them with false copyright strikes and then use that against them is like the most below the belt hit you could do. And the thing is, I don't think he knew it wasn't gonna like permanently hurt you. So why he even did it doesn't even make sense to me, because it just makes him look worse. But feeding into what you just said, maybe his persona is he's a villain, and that's what he feeds off of. So maybe he thinks it helped him to do something like that. I can't fathom, but I guess certain people have different wiring in their mind. I can't think of what other reason why he would have done that to you.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it like. People are like just born different, I guess. You know what I mean? It's just that's the way the world is, man.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure. If during the creation of a documentary, you were given the opportunity to meet someone, for example, Phil, in an in-person interview, would you? This is assuming that Phil agreed to it, it wasn't cost prohibitive, etc. Do you believe that a first-hand account from Phil would have maybe contributed to the narrative? Now, in some extent, you did do this. You asked me a few questions directly on the documentary, but you've never actually done like an in-person interview. Would you ever think that would add something?
Yeah, like that adds a tremendous amount. So what that does is it takes someone out of like their comfort zone, right? You can't run away really from an in-person interview. I mean, you can walk away, but it gives more control to the person recording, right? Like there's more to examine, right? Like, and that kind of like goes back to the my clum thing. Do you think you'll like restart that, right? Will you go ever reach out to him again to like reinvigorate the project?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that question. And at the time that Mike Clum was interested in doing this documentary about me, he had just come off doing the Boogie documentary. And we all saw that, and we knew that that was a certain kind of vibe where it was like, look at this guy, he's miserable life and all the things that he's going through. And I made it very clear to Mike. I said, if we do this documentary, I don't want it to be that vibe. It has to be a completely different kind of a vibe, because that's not me. Like, I'm not a woe is me guy. It's not a pity party documentary. And he was totally on board for that, 100%. But as we started to get into it, I just realized it was going to be such a tremendous amount of time and effort and work and investment on my behalf. Not only was I going to have to be, trying to maintain my work schedule as it is, but also taking all this time out to film, taking time away from spending with my wife and stuff. And at that point, I didn't really feel like it was going to benefit me enough, or even if it did, it was too much of a risk to invest that much. Now, like if I were to do a documentary now, I feel like it would be different, because now you've done this doc on me. I've fessed up to the biggest stupid thing, the WWE champions. And now, even though obviously it would be addressed in a documentary like that, I almost feel like it would be freed up to do better stuff for different topics or different things. Like one of the things that Mike really wanted to do, he wanted to do a day in the life of DSP, where you just follow me around. You see how I work. You follow me to the grocery store. You see me, grabbing stuff off the shelf. And says that's going to humanize you. It's going to show you in a different light. No one ever sees you. They just see you as this guy ranting at a camera or whatever. And it would be great to see that. Now I feel like that kind of content would be taken in a better context, because people aren't just thinking in the back of their head. So this is the guy who's lying to us constantly, right? You're right. Like I think that in-person interaction, or seeing that personal side, have an in-person interview or behind the scenes, would actually add to something. And maybe long term I would consider it. The thing that's really turning me off from doing anything with Mike right now is he's going to do something with EDP, or at least he was. It's weird because I don't think there's been an update on this documentary he's doing on EDP in a very long time. And I was like, I definitely don't want to be like the guy wedged between Boogie and EDP. If he did a documentary on someone else and it wasn't just such heavy negative topics, then I would probably consider it. But at this point in my life, like I'm kind of having a little bit of a comeback. People are seeing me in a different light now because I've had interactions with guys like Kino Casino, and I've just had a really positive interview with Keemstar. I don't really want to be wedged between two really negative documentaries that this guy has put out, but maybe in the future. I think in the future it might be something to re-examine as a different kind of a idea. So, what do you think about that? Do you think I should do it?
I think it'd be cool. I think, well, the thing about these kind of videos, and especially like my Clum, I feel that he kind of lets the documentary, right, speak for itself. He lets people commenting on it, and like that. That's like a real fancy documentary, right? And I think that these things, like, kind of like you have, you don't know what the documentary is until you really have all the footage and can really sift through it to get like kind of like a theme. I don't think there is going to be like any, I guess, shoehorning of like any direction. It just speaks for itself. And if you feel like confident in your comeback and whatever, I think it could be a good idea to really reach out to him. I don't know if he's still up for it, but it wouldn't hurt, right?
Sure. Okay, cool. Okay, now this question, I'm going to warn you. This person may be spinning it in a certain way. And just so you know, I'm not saying I agree with what this person is saying, but I'm just going to read it word for word. Okay. For Joon, why were there parts in the documentary where you would quite rightly introduce Phil's arguments with skepticism? For example, Phil claims, or this is supposedly because. But with third-party statements, you would sometimes speak in absolutes. For example, based on John and Howard's words, you would say, Phil was bold-faced lying. I'm curious why you didn't introduce their comments with skepticism also. Something like, well, if we were to take them at their word, this would mean Phil was bold-faced lying. I completely agree that you need to be skeptical with hearsay, but you should be skeptical with everyone's hearsay, not just Phil's, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that like lends more to credibility, and that you have such a lengthy history of lying, right? It's hard to really pin that
I
down.
agree.
And anyone
Listen,
else
and
can
I'm not
guess,
taking
so.
offense. I agree with you, man. I do.
Yeah, but I'm just answering that question. So that's why I would present you as such a way, because I mean, through their words, they're more credible people, and I have no reason to really distrust what they're saying as opposed to you, right? I believe I read what was it on I saw your entire reaction, and then you also admitted that you did not contact the other part of Project 7, right? So it was a lie. I did find that, and it was in fact a lie.
Yeah, I think we were talking about Respect the Pact, and that there
Yeah,
were
yeah,
two
yeah.
guys.
Because the whole thing, to give context, it was they're like, hey, reach out to them for like, and offer them money, and then you told them, okay, I'll reach out to them, and then they said no, and then you came back like they said no, which was a lie, and then Rambo, right, I believe, contacted them. It's like, hey, so why'd you deny the money? It's like, well, money. Phil never told us, so it was also like it was just a lie, I guess.
It was, you're right. It was basically a situation where I was told something up front, and I had absolutely no idea that those guys would have wanted money. And if they actually did want the money, I would have given it to them. But we didn't have the conversation, and that's my fault. 100%. I should have reached out to them. I should have extended the, however you say, the olive branch or whatever, said, listen, you guys say you don't want to do it, but is it the money? And I didn't do that. That for me, I took them at their original word. And then later on, when John asked me, hey, did you offer them money? And I said, well, they don't want money. That was based on previous discussion months and months prior. That was not based on any current information. So you're right. You caught me out on stuff like this in the documentary, and rightfully so. That's the kind of stuff that I need to get better at. And I've said this publicly now. Moving forward, if I ever do anything like Project 7 or anything like that ever again, even if it's with like close personal friends, I'm working up a contract up front. That way, there's no misconceptions about who wants what out of it. We all get what we want out of it. And that way, no one comes out at the end as being, feeling like they were misused or mistreated or not offered a fair shake. So, okay, fair enough. And I think that was a good answer. Do you think that Phil deserves the amount of A-logging that he still gets? And do you think that he still deserves to be on the lolcow list? Have the detractors become worse than Phil at this point?
So this is all just like, I guess, my opinion. I've never been a fan of like, I guess, the A-logging, like really going out of your way to do something like crazy or whatever. But that's I guess it does bring up some entertainment. I don't know, right? I wouldn't do it. I'm not a fan of it. But the lolcow list, I think, yeah, like I guess what makes the lolcow is the consistency and the failure. And I can see like that you are still there. I think also you're always somehow gonna like be on the platform one way or another, but you are, I think, cemented there on the list.
I agree with you because the thing is, I think people hear the word lolcow, and is it a negative association? Of course it is, right? But sadly, it's not like something you can control. I mean, I wish I wasn't one, but there's always going to be these people stalking me. There's always going to be these people calling me out and bringing me up to try to elicit a reaction, and that's the very definition of a lolcow, right? Is someone who you do something to them, it gets that reaction, and then you laugh at it. So even though I feel like perhaps there's a turnaround now to some extent, I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of that stigma personally. I don't. How on earth would this crazy community of people who've been after me, right, for so long just forget about me overnight? That's not going to happen. So to some extent, I don't think I'm ever going to shake that.
Yeah, I mean, like you just have such a history, right?
Right.
To shake that would be like to shake all that, and like people. I just thought I don't know how you do it. Frankly, if you became a different person overnight, it just even then, like I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of like stuck there, I guess.
Yeah. And it's tough. People tell me, well, ask me, how do you keep doing it after 16 years when every day you're going to go on the internet and someone's going to be up in your ass about stuff? And it's like, listen, you know what it is, honestly, June? I just get immune to it. I've been doing it so long. It's kind of like you get desensitized. Like I know people are going to talk shit about me every day, no matter what I do. So why do I even care anymore, right? And I used to react completely differently. As you saw in the own documentary, I would get so angry about what everyone said and rage against it. And that just fueled more of it. Today, it's just like, it's just another day. My detractors, I'll lean into them now. I'll expose them on my stream. I'll have a good laugh about it instead of getting so butthurt about it.
Yeah, like I guess desensitization, I guess is what you call it, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're exposed to it so much, it's like whatever kind of deal.
exactly. What's your criteria of judging if someone's, I guess, winning at life or if they're failing?
Oh, well, I mean, like that just goes into like your own personal beliefs and my personal beliefs, and I think that is like a bit of control. So, if like just going off my personal stuff, I think Jake Paul is an example of a success, right? I think he does what he wants. He has a lot of money. I'm sure like he's close to his family. People may not like him, but I don't think it bothers him too much because again, he is in control and he's like free, right? I think like the reverse would be someone who is stuck, right? Who cannot really do much outside of like content creations. I don't know. There's definitely a lot, Phil. There's definitely a lot.
Do you think I'm stuck?
I think you like it there. You like being stuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I love what I do. I absolutely love this. Is the best job I ever had. Even with all the shit that I go through every day, dude, this is the best job I've ever had. I'm my own boss. I make my own schedule. I love video games. I love hanging out with people. So even though you could say I'm stuck in a good place. It's not like I'm stuck and I hate what I do and I'm miserable doing it. Like I've been telling people, and a lot of people don't believe me, my life today is so much better than it used to be. Like I have a loving wife, a great family, and personal life behind the scenes. I love my job. So why wouldn't I, not let this shit get to me? I'm not, I have so many things to be positive and happy about. I'm not going to let all that toxic shit get to me. But I think what happens is a lot of people look at other creators and say, that guy looks like he's stuck, like he's miserable. He doesn't want to turn on that camera today, but he knows this is the only way he can make a buck. So they see that and they do those levels of comparison. And I guess with the people you've covered, some people would argue some of those people are stuck and they're miserable and others aren't. And I think that's what this person was kind of getting at. Like, do you think that anyone like you said, that's a great example. Jake Paul, he can do whatever he wants, right? He's filthy rich. He's immune to anything. You could say the guy's the biggest scumbag on the planet. Do you think he cares? He just rolls over another $1 million in bed. So it's not a big deal. But there's other people who get endlessly stuck in this cycle of, I got to go on camera today. I got to make another buck. I think people can look at that and be like, well, that's a failure. I think I'm somewhere in the middle, honestly. I don't think I'm a success, but I do think I see myself as someone, at least I'm happy with what I do. I'm happy with being stuck,
Yeah, I mean, like that's all personal, right? Like that's all into personal belief. But one of the other things is, like you said, you were, like, desensitized to it, so, like, how can you really, like, reflect to a more, like, more normal life where you can go out and not have the fear of someone recording you or, like, have friends that don't know about your history? There's a lot of things that, like, I guess you're more, like you said, like, desensitized to, right? Like, I I think you don't know, like, or weren't at least recently exposed to those, like, facets of life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, dude, I sat here making content on my stream, not interacting with anyone outside of my personal family, my wife and everything. Literally, the stream that was it. And now that I've had opportunity to reach out, I've been on Kino Casino a couple times. Those guys have been awesome to me. We did the react to your Rich from Review Tech USA documentary together. I've had Keemstar on the show. I got you on the show. We got all this stuff going on. It's a breath of fresh air. It feels like now things are more possible. And that's a great thing, being stuck, but now I'm doing better things. I'm being more social. That's what it's all about. And people didn't want to touch me with a 10-foot pole for the longest time. But now that's starting to turn. And I'm appreciative. I'm so appreciative that you came on today, man, because, I get it. It's the drama sphere, dude. And a lot of people, oh, Phil, I don't want to talk about that guy. I don't want to have any association with him. But it seems like now it is turning for the better. And that's a great thing.
Oh, no, yeah, no, for sure it is. But like to that too, it's, I there's definitely a difference between, like, online interaction with creators and, like, meeting them in person without, like, I guess, viewers and such, right?
Right.
And to me, I know that's something you don't have too much, and I think you would appreciate it more if, like, you got, like, friends outside of, like, the darks, like, people who know you not as Darksydephil, but as, like, Phil Burnell, right? Like Philip, right? I think, that is such an enrichment, you know what I mean? Like, that just helps you as a person too, right?
You're right. Like one of the things you covered in the documentary was my Street Fighter days. And as you know, online, I was the most braggadocious, big-mouthed e-thug idiot. But offline, everyone was cool with me who met me because I wasn't like that. I was like a normal dude. I was cool. I was chill. Everyone wanted to hang out with me because they knew it was like a chill time. And you're right. Having those in-person relationships, friendships, interactions is very meaningful, especially when it's outside of the public eye, outside of the online space, to have an existence outside of this online persona. That's why in the last few years, since I met my wife, we're married, our private life is private. Like, I barely tell anyone about the stuff that we do because it's no one's business. I like having that private side. It definitely adds to your overall enjoyment of life, I would say, and your sanity too, to have something that's not public and everyone's always talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, you just wanna be a person, you know what I mean? Like, and I get that aspect.
This person is asking to you, when you were researching DSP, did you interview an equal number of both critics and fans? Like, what was your methodology there?
My methodology was to, like, I guess how I'm approaching these videos currently is there's a lot of people that, like, dislike you, and I feel like some of them are kinda, like, crazy. They're insane. And a lot of them have, like, genuine, like, the other, like, section do have, like, genuine reasons to dislike you because you directly slighted them one way or another. And the insane ones, they're very few. They don't exist in large numbers, but they're very loud. And the people who have, like, they get mixed in, right? So the people who have, like, general, like, criticisms of, like, you directly, you know, doing something not favorable to them, I try to reach out to those people so they can be, like, reached to a general audience, like, better. Like, if I'm reviewing someone who just, like, hates you and, like, wants to kill you, I don't think that's gonna reach a general audience. But if I reach out to someone that, like, let's say the PC thing, I think that's a bit more tangible and such. But as for the question, I reached out to as many fans as I could. It felt like a lot of them were like afraid and want to be anonymous because they do
Right.
get some harassment and such. But I think it was like for quote unquote detractors and people, like any monarch you want to call them, and about 3 or 2 fans that I spoke to, like through interview and included in the video.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my fans have been through the ringer just like me. Just because they like me or because they toss me some support on a stream, they've been harassed, they've been doxxed, they've had phone calls to their work, to their schools, to their family. It's pretty ridiculous the extent that these detractors have gone to try to ruin me. And the funny part is, how does that ruin me? Like, I don't even know that that's going on unless they come to me after the fact. So I'm not shocked to hear that my fans were actually legitimately afraid of speaking up. Like, they don't want to put themselves into the line of fire and the eye of these people in any capacity. And same thing that I said to Craig last week. Like, of course, Craig, no one stepped up to say that they wanted to talk about me positively because, they don't want to be attacked. It's always going to be the negative and toxic person who wants to speak out first. Like, that's the nature of the game, drama, right? And you have to understand that. At least in this case, I've said this publicly, I feel like because you spoke to me on certain issues, not to say that you believed all my answers, right? Because some of them I was outright lying to you about the WWE Champions thing and shit, but you spoke directly to me. You did make an effort to talk to fans who were willing. And I think that puts that documentary in a much different light, as opposed to someone who literally just talked to detractors and regurgitated the same memes. I think that's respectable. I do. So
I appreciate it, Phil, but I don't think it really. I mean, it makes it more interesting, but I feel like I've watched a lot of different videos to make this video, right? To make sure I cover like everything people want to be covered, and I find that they're pretty much the same. They're covering the same themes, even though I went like out of my way to really get fans. It doesn't really change the overall theming or your image, really, if that makes sense.
oh yeah, dude, you said to me, I remember the final words you said to me about this thing before you were going to put it in for editing. You said, I just want to let you know this is going to be like unequivocally negative. It's going to be like bad when this thing comes out. It's not going to be a positive documentary. I don't know why people thought I thought it would be. Like, that's crazy. It's a covering my history of lying and toxicity and all the things I've done. Why on earth some people thought like you were going to, like, as they say, glaze me, I have no idea. Like, that was never the intention. You were trying to do the most comprehensive documentary.
I mean, yeah, like that's just how it is. I think in your space, like, throughout the lies, people get like a bit like unsure about like anything in here. They tend to come up with like conspiracies, and when those get like proven like true over time, it's hard to like build trust even with those around like just speaking to you, right? So I can like kind of see why it's there, because it's definitely not as strong in some of the other communities I guess I've looked at. But like your community compared to others is definitely like a lot less harassive compared to like, let's say, Wings too.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that he's basically got like the worst anyone. That's sad because watching the documentaries you made on him, quite honestly, has he made mistakes? Yes. Does he keep making the same mistakes? Yeah. I still don't think it warrants the levels that these people go and the crazy stuff that they do. Yeah, he's one of the people, like, of all the whole lolcow thing, I legit feel that Wings is like a good guy that just keeps kind of stumbling. And one day I really hope he lands firm and can stand for himself and not make the same mistakes, because I actually feel like genuinely he deserves like success and a life away from the levels of harassment that he's gotten. I think it's unfortunate that somehow he got the hyper focus of the worst of the worst.
I mean, yeah, he could be funny and whatever, and also like a jerk at times. But I think like his biggest what is it, hurdle is he is probably like the least intelligent, so he doesn't really know what he's doing until like later, until he's like, oh, and then he defends it because he doesn't know how to, like, I guess, speak. You know what I mean? So yeah, like in some ways, I'm like, damn, dude, this guy has it hard. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's a good point you just made. I don't think anything he's ever done was like outright malicious, right? Like, he's not a malicious guy. He's not trying to do harmful things. He just does things, oops, and he didn't realize what he did. And now you're, like you said, he has to try to save face after the fact. So, and that's a lot different from people who outright are doing something wrong over and over, and they know they're doing it. They know it's malicious and wrong, and they keep doing that same action. So I think that's a good observation.
Well, I mean, Wings has been malicious in the past. There's definitely been moments where he's gone like overboard and such. I believe there's a call where he was like doxing, like he expressed to Keemstar that he had Keemstar's docs and was threatening him. Like, he has had those moments too. Like,
Oh, by the way, I have your IP, I have your name, and I have your address. So, congratulations. You fucked up. You really did be awesome one on Twitter. I have all your fucking personal information. Now, I'm going to say this up front. I'm not going to give it out. I'm not going to give it out. This is not a doxing video. I do not condone it. I will never give out someone's personal information or anything like that whatsoever. However, understand something. I got you.
You know what I mean? Like there are times where Wings goes a bit, he goes crazy, I guess.
You have now covered a bunch of different people on the internet. You've seen the toxic communities that form around certain people, like you said, like Wings and myself. Do you think there is potential someday, and I'm not saying you, but do you think there's potential someday that someone could flip this and actually do a documentary on the worst detractors and their communities? And would that have potential to be something that could blow up?
That would be hard. That because with like the people I covered, it's like a singular person and there's a clear timeline and it's a lot more consumable, right? Detractors are a broad field. So like are we talking about like viewers? You know what I mean? Like are we talking about like just people who type in the chats? Because like I don't think anyone cares about those people. But if you're
Right.
talking about like the more like intense ones that like really go crazy,
Yeah,
I
I would say that,
I don't
we're
know.
talking about people on Kiwi farms who are doxing people. We're talking about the people who are making a living with these detractor channels. Just a couple off the top of my head, duty streams, or Memology 101, who literally take my videos every day and make toxic content out of it. Because some people say to me, these people, when you analyze them, in reality are bigger lolcows than the people that they fixate on and make money on by making these videos. And I don't really know because I don't spend time microanalyzing these people, but I just find it fascinating that people in a lot of ways might say the people who are focusing on the lolcows and making this content about them, in some cases may actually be the bigger lolcows. And is there potential there in the future to maybe analyze that?
I think there is some, but the draw of the average person is they want to be entertained. They want a clear cut story about like, especially like an internet figure or someone of like more prominence or like who really blew up and like you would be focusing on such a like marginalized of the marginalized, right?
Yeah.
Such a unique kind of person that doesn't really represent anyone, and then like these more like intense people also kind of like bounce around. So it would be like really difficult, and I just I don't really currently see that. I guess there is just also the level of intensity would be like more comfortable than I think. Like how do I say this? People online, right? Let's say you, Wings, Boogie, right? You guys are funny and entertaining in your own way, right? But someone online who does like really crazy stuff might not be as consumable to the average person. It might be more so too disturbing, and maybe the average person doesn't want to see that, which also affects the market. So currently, I don't really see that, if you know what I mean.
No, I get you. I thought about it, and I'm like, that it would be such an endeavor, like as arduous as it must have been to get enough for a 4-hour documentary about me. Like it would be like really like grasping at straws to try to get enough information, first of all, about these people, and then to formulate. Like I would think the only way it could even be done, like you couldn't even do a video on one. Maybe it would have to be like a documentary of like, here's the cornucopia of the worst detractors of this person and what they've done. It would have to be like this super video to put it all together to try to retain interest. Because you're right. I think on surface level, these people aren't that interesting. They're just kind of pathetic, a lot of them, the way that they act. It's a difference between you make fun of someone in a chat or you laugh, or you're literally trying to ruin someone's life. And by the way, you're getting money on that because you're monetizing the video at the same time. But yeah, I agree with you there that I don't think that there would be enough at this point unless there was like really intense research done and maybe like a super video. So
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just there's so many aspects to it, but I don't really know of any like intense ones that really like monetize their videos or really like that's the thing. If you're gonna like be doing like let's say sending the police at your residence, right? You're not gonna be online or easily accessible or really have that much of a history. But that being said, I don't really see these people, I guess, making these videos. I guess, right? They yeah. It just seems like a different field.
right.
These contributions are mandatory. Typically helps me more than anything.